so much consternation today. Let me try to share this around. Try to send it a few places. Of course, I can't see the chat doing this like this. Maybe if I do it over here. Let's try this. Alright, we got two people watching here. Can you guys hear me? I've not seen anybody in the chat. All right, little noodling going on. Um, oh, let's turn that down. Don't need to hear that stuff back. Yeah, I don't know if is there a way I can see a chat on my phone? That would even be better. Let me see the chat. There we go. Samantha says she can hear me. That's great. John, what's happening? Lucy says, can hear me. Yes. I don't know if I can scroll back any further. Anyway. So, I've been trying to get on a regular live stream schedule once a week, and I thought Tuesdays were going to be good, and then the last 2 weeks I've had rehearsals on Tuesdays, so no live stream. So I thought I'd get on here really quickly, frantically, of course, technical issues all around. So I apologize if you're seeing this after I do this, because I've sent out another link and I had scheduled a post. I don't know what I'm doing, apparently. Like, I schedule a post, and I imagine it should be as simple as just going, let's go live on that one that I had already scheduled so that people can see that I've scheduled one, and that's the one. And yeah, didn't work out quite so well. So I just went live anyway. So what's been happening? Well, today I've been working on my my live pedal board rig that I've been using for the last bit of time. That's centered around an HX Stomp and stuff. Just every now and then dialing it in. I've noticed I had an issue since I integrated the Keeley Electronics Halo delay pedal, which sounds amazing, but I had it set up in stereo. But for the last several gigs I've been doing, I've just been coming off of my pedal board mono, and the mono summing on my pedal board has been causing some issues with the delay, having some like weird audio artifacts, phasiness that I didn't like. So I was sorting that out and getting that set up for strict mono when I'm doing that mono. And as I was doing that, I realized that there's some other things I need to be working on, because I'm back to working on music, and there are 2 songs that I'm working on. Well, several songs that I'm working on. But in terms of this crazy delay kind of thing, this Hendrixy with the backwards guitar thing. So there's a delay in there, plus the backwards delay, which is sort of trying to do the Hendrix thing, where Hendrix would just flip the tape over in the studio and you get the backwards guitar solo. Adrian Belew is the only guy I've heard that sounds like he's playing backwards and like he's doing it right in front of you. And I'm not exactly sure how he's doing it. I think he's doing some of that with a delay pedal that may have a reverse effect on it. But then sometimes the way he plays, he manages to articulate like he's playing backwards. It's incredible. It's an anomaly to me. He's really something. I don't know why I can't see the chat up here. It would be so much better if I could. Pardon my reach. See if that starts working. I'm gonna put a little celebration thing in there. See if that helps. But it doesn't really. Like, I'm not seeing stuff. So pardon my armpit. Seeing some hearts. Somebody dropped me some hearts. Thank you for that. So yeah, the reverse delay thing. There's a new song that I'm working on that I'm going to release in a bit, and I want a very Hendrixy backwards guitar solo in it. I want it to be a bit ethereal and mystical, and and all of that stuff. And as I was surfing around, as I was recording the demo for it, I stumbled on this delay setting on my Line 6 Helix, and it's pretty cool. So it's fun. It does the ethereal thing, and also still allows me to play stuff that kind of makes sense. So it's in and around the notes. So if I were just to play a melody, like that's a lot of fun. It's really pretty beautiful. So I'm excited about that. So that's one thing. But I have this other song that is a part of the Forever project, the Drive album, and it's the song called Dragonflies. And what I was playing earlier when I first hopped on was improvising a bit of that. And that song has been a challenge for me, partly because it started its life as a song that I was commissioned to write in 1997, and the sentiment of the song is pretty complicated. But a school principal had written a poem about a student who had passed, and sadly he did that to himself. And he was a popular student, and he was a guitar player, and he was real into Hendrix and stuff like that. So he gave me this poem and wanted to see if I could put it to music, because he was in an awkward place where, of course, he doesn't want to celebrate a student hurting themselves like that for other kids who might be also going through some difficult stuff and wanting attention, that, you know, didn't want to necessarily advocate for this is the way that you should get this kind of attention. But he did want to do something for the kids in the school who were mourning over this kid. So it was a interesting thing to write. I resonated a lot with this young man's story, having dealt with depression even back then. Like, I was a fairly depressed teenager as well. I found the guitar. That was the thing that got me through most stuff. I think the guitar probably kept me alive more than anything else. This was the way out of my head. So anyway, I did the commission, and it was a vocal song, because it was music that I wrote around the principal of the school's poem. And you'll probably never hear it, because I'm not a fan of my singing voice. I don't like my singing voice very much at all. So I wanted to do something new with it, because the Drive album is kind of this journey into exploring my back pages, my emotional, mental health components, stuff like that, and as how it's kind of drawn out through music. And the idea was, I was looking at the time when I started the record in 2016, and obviously with songs like this that were written in 1997, this is music that I've been writing over long periods of time that just haven't had a place to live. They were not appropriate for any band that I was working for, like Fozzy or Stuck Mojo or anything. It's just my art music that I write. So as I was putting it together, it was pretty clear that there was some thematic stuff going on, that this was a narrative of my exploration of my history, it's autobiographical. Of course, everything I write is about my experiences, so everything is fairly autobiographical. But this in particular was forming up to be a particular narrative through these kinds of things. So I really wanted to include this song, but it wasn't appropriate just to like redo the song that I had done for this principle. And the title of the poem was "No Way, Man." That was a phrase that this young man would say a lot. Just, you know how we all get caught on catchphrases, and apparently that was one that he was caught up on saying a lot. And anyway, it didn't seem appropriate to take that into my story, but I really like the music, but I also didn't want to just take a one-for-one, replace the lyrical stuff and maybe do an instrumental guitar version of it. I wanted to find a new way to get around on it, and it was a Hendrixy thing to start with. And the main part of the song is this. Let me turn off that reverse delay so you can actually hear that. Yeah. Clean that up a little bit. I really like that riff, so I want to keep that. Maybe not do it exactly like that, but that's what I had initially written. So I wanted to use it as fodder for a new song. And when I originally did that for the high school, I recorded drums, vocals, and guitar for it. It was pretty meager. I wasn't much of an audio engineer at the time. I don't even think I put a bass guitar on it or even a bass keyboard on it. I think it was mainly just guitar, vocal, and drums. Pretty bare bones. That's kind of one of the reasons I thought it would be a good thing to flesh back out, because I could actually do a proper production on it. And in any case, as I was looking at that, hey Alex, this is the prototype Delaney guitar. This is called the Archangel 7. This is my signature 7-string guitar that Delaney Guitars is making for me. They're available at DelaneyGuitars.com if you are so inclined to order something like this. It is a 7-string, and I could talk a little bit more about that, I guess, in a minute. It's fairly different in that this is a pretty raw. I was going for a tone wood thing rather than your standard 7-string that's on the market. All of those are great, and I love them, and I own several of them. But I was really looking for something that was a bit more organic. So when Mike Delaney reached out to me about doing a guitar, I wanted to be particular about a lot of things that are fairly rustic and stuff. I'll tell you about that in a minute. I'll try to keep on my train of thought here with this tune. So anyway, as I was looking for a Hendrixy way to do something with this, I re-recorded essentially the rhythm guitar for the whole song as a placeholder on the album. The Drive album, if you haven't heard me talk about this, it is 20 compositions. It is programmatic. It is a concept record. Like I said, it's a sort of stream of consciousness of me going through my psychology and my mental health and all of that stuff. So I did that to put it in its place. So it's just a clean rhythm guitar with maybe a click track is what's on the demo record. Yes, it is a swamp ash body, one piece on this one. This was a very old billet of wood that Mike had in his shop, and as you knocked on it, it just had a nice tone to it. So we thought it would make a really, really great guitar. And it's really dried out, so It's got a nice, like if I don't turn my volume up, you can tell it really rings out and has a lot of depth to just the tone coming off of the solid body guitar, which is very inspiring to play, and like very little finish on it, like so you can feel the whole thing resonating, especially when you're playing low Bs and stuff. So yeah, so it's been sitting there, and as I've been reapproaching going back to working on the Drive record in the last few years, just dipping my toe in the water of like, how would I even want to manage doing any of this stuff with this record? I kept coming up on that one and be like, I gotta come up with a concept for this one. So I came up with an introduction for it, and like I was trying to find the right effect for it. I didn't know if I wanted to use sublooping with it. There's some other delay, glitch delay kind of stuff where essentially it's a digital delay that will slice up the thing that you play into it, and it will play it in rhythmic places around you that's not just your standard delay. I need to mess around with that a bit too, but I was kind of hoping that maybe this this reverse delay would cover a little bit of that stuff. So as I've been messing with it, like I have a new theme for it, and the decision was I was going to call this, rather than call it No Way Man, I'm calling it Dragonflies. And when I go to talk about the record fully, I'll do a little bit better description of it. But there are things in the world when you see them, like cardinals that represent spirit showing itself to you. Dragonflies are also associated with these types of things, and I will get into it when I can speak much more articulately about how I'm seeing that stuff. And there's also the Jimi Hendrix component of Spanish Castle Magic, talking about it's very far away. It takes about a half a day to get there if we fly by my Dragonfly. So I like the very Hendrixy psychedelic reference that embodies as well, especially considering I mean this to be a very Hendrixy kind of thing. So I came up with this new theme. And I really like the sentiment of that as an introduction for this, but then getting back into the trying to figure out how to do all of that stuff. So trying to figure out the best way to do this. And this record is really weird. It's a lot of different textures, and I thought I really wanted to arrange this one. Oh, hey Adam. Man, I'm excited to finally be working on it and getting all of this stuff finished and out. It's been far too long. I'm glad I'm still excited about it. Every time I open up these old files and start digging back into it, I'm still very interested in the things that I've been writing. So that's a good sign. I don't necessarily worry about whether I like it or not, whether I think it's good. I think it's interesting, and I fully believe that as artists, the process of creation, that's for us, right? That's the thing. So like the joy really exists in my interest in doing the thing and creating the thing, whether it's a mosaic or painting or or writing a piece of music or recording a piece of music, just to immerse myself in that completely. And I'm sure any other artist, Adam, you can speak up for that too. When you're in that headspace, that is what it is. It's just the complete surrender to the artistic process, to be vulnerable, to be emotional, to be honest and real and true. You know, sometimes in a way that it's hard to be honest and real and true in our everyday lives. Music allows us to just get to the meat of, you know, of being honest about how we feel. And then once it's done, it's to give it away. You know, hopefully people will download it and maybe buy any physical copies or buy downloads of it. Like, that's certainly a hope too, because it would be fun to be able to afford to continue making music. But in terms of the qualitative sense of what is the music beyond that, it belongs to the listener. And hopefully, if I've done my job, I've put every bit of myself in it that I possibly can, and it means something to me, and hopefully it will resonate with the right audience, that it will mean something for them in a way that is powerful. Oh yeah, vinyl is going to happen. I'm still trying to figure that out. There's a lot of things along the way. I'm also interested in Dolby Atmos. I may take a step into that. That's a little further down the road, but I'm interested in that. So anyway, back to Dragonflies. All of the textures on this record, some of it is very what you would expect coming off of what I did with the 205 record. It's a big rock instrumental guitar record of that particular chutzpah and energy. I think that'll always be a big part of what I do. I guess that's probably the core of what I do, is that kind of stuff. So there's lots of that stuff on there. Some of the heaviest stuff I've written so far, like there's some pretty heavy moments in some of the tunes that I'm pretty excited about. They feel really good to play. I've only gigged one of those tunes out a couple of times, and it feels really good to get to the heavy bits, because that's something that I can draw from, that touring with heavy metal bands, I enjoy the power of playing heavy music. I just don't tend to write all heavy music, but they're like texturally, the orchestral nature of heavy music is a very Stravinsky and Bartok kind of thing to me. Also very Wagner, very Strauss. I'm into that kind of stuff. So for me, the correlations I can get on there, and like Beethoven is pretty heavy in places as well. So it's not completely outside the realm of what I do. And obviously I'm into solid body, low strung guitars. So that's the thing. So there's a lot of that stuff. But this record along the way was also sort of turning the corner from, if you got to know me before I started touring with bands like Fozzy and Stuck Mojo, you probably saw me around Atlanta playing a lot of blues rock and things like that. And that's a very big piece of my personality. Enormous Hendrix fan, David Gilmour fan, Paul Kossoff, Gary Moore, all the big guys, Cream era Clapton, Jimmy Page, obviously. So many influences in that particular way. You probably might have got one sense of me, and then if immediately after that you saw me playing with Fozzy, you'd be like, what is this? And like, I grew up playing heavy metal. That's kind of what got me into the guitar, was playing heavy music. So that was kind of a homecoming to get to go play just heavy metal. It's definitely a big piece of my DNA, and it's good to service that. But also, if you saw me around college time, you would have known me as a classical composer, as a classical guitarist, and for a time after college, you might have seen me play with like a classical guitar duet where we played a lot of gypsy swing and flamenco style, nouveau flamenco kind of stuff. I can't play traditionally stuff properly, but there's all of that stuff. So that's a big element. I do love jazz and fusion. If you saw me playing in college, you probably saw me playing a lot of fusion. I tried to bring a lot of the fusion into the jazz or the rock blues stuff, blues rock stuff I was doing. But I would get in trouble because I was playing in these very blues club type places trying to brandish all of these fusion and jazz chops that I was trying to get together as a young guitar player, and doesn't always go over well. Certainly, I have found that depending on the kind of guitar that you're playing, like if I showed up with something like a very Steve Vai looking 7-string guitar, no matter how bluesy I played or how tastefully I was trying to play, people really do kind of hear with their ears sometimes, and there was a disconnect to what it looked like versus what it sounded like. Close your eyes, and I was doing the thing. Look at it, and it's like, who's this guy with the pointy guitar? But then I could show up at the same club with a Telecaster years later and overplay, and people are all on board for somebody overplaying on a Telecaster or a Stratocaster. It's a very different experience because of the look of the instrument, I suppose. So that's an interesting experience that I've had with that. And then, of course, if you got to know me playing with Fozzy or with Stuck Mojo, and then I put out 2 of 5, and it's this rock instrumental stuff. It's kind of not really fusion, but there's harmony and stuff on there that's pretty. Oh yeah, the Hello Kitty Square. You got to do that. But yeah, if you found that I had this interest in jazz harmony and classical textures and stuff like that, that might have been a surprise, which we should be surprised and also simultaneously not surprised by any artist being interested in any multitude of diverse ideas and backgrounds of their musical interests and all of that. So I'm glad that I've been hard to pin down. To me, somehow it all makes sense in my head. So the Drive record was also meant to be an attempt to put all of that in one place, to sort of steer the ship of my career of like, all right, hopefully this starts to make a bit more sense of things that you might have heard, like 2 of 5, like the crazy stuff that I did with the New Yankee All-Stars around Atlanta, or the Hybrids, or any other blues band that I played with, or this very world rock band Jana that I've toured with. Yeah, all of that stuff. Hopefully it just starts to make sense of all those things. Songs like Wormwood that I did for Fozzy, like that's a weird song for Fozzy too. I tried to write a song that would make it sound like it was a Fozzy tune, and it just ends up sounding like one of my tunes. It's I guess that's a good thing. Like if you do a thing, it should sound like you. At least your DNA should hopefully be infused in all of that. So yeah, the Drive record was supposed to be this way of turning the ship to let everybody kind of get on board with like all the stuff that somehow in my head all makes sense, that it lives in this space in my corporeal being, my feeble intellect and so forth, and musical interests. That hopefully those threads start to make a lot of sense. So of the 20 compositions, like several are, like I said, they're very rock ensemble instrumental stuff. It's all instrumental record. Some is very progressive. There's one particular song in there, I think it's about 11 minutes long. It got lengthy. It's fairly progressive. I'm pretty excited about that one. It's an 8-string tune that I need to work up to actually get to play even what I wrote. Like it's fun to be able to write just a little bit beyond yourself, and have to practice to hopefully be able to do it justice. But that'll be a fun one. That's a pretty special one on the record. And then there's some other ones where like there's a solo acoustic guitar piece on there. There's actually a couple of solo acoustic guitar pieces. I may experiment with doing some orchestrations of those another time. Maybe if I can ever get my stuff together and actually get to perform with an orchestra, that is definitely on the ambition list of all the things that I want to do. That makes sense for just my crazy existence. That somehow seems like it's not something I'm not supposed to do. I am supposed to play with an orchestra, and I've played classical guitar with an orchestra in college, but like this and my other instruments, my other steel strings and classical guitars, they need to, playing with an orchestra accompanying me, I think it is going to happen. It will happen. I just haven't figured out how yet, but it will happen. And I think getting this record done will be a big step in that direction. There's some other pieces that are, I haven't quite landed on how they're going to turn out, but they almost seem more like heavily influenced by my interest in Pat Metheny group, both in harmonic and melodic ideas and arrangement texture. So I haven't figured out how that's going to all play out. But there's all these different pastiches of stuff that are going to be on this record. So all that to say, coming back to Dragonflies, what am I going to do with this song? And one thing that I noticed that was missing on this record is I've done a lot of spontaneous composition work, improvising on the spot for years and years and years, and I'm going to be trying to get a series out here relatively soon of some things I did with the New Yankee All-Stars, where we played at this little blues club called Darwin's, and they let me do this crazy thing where we played no cover tunes, and basically we improvised every song. We would take requests of any songs that we wrote, but pretty much the way it went is we would field the audience to tell us a key and a topic, and we would spontaneously compose something on the spot. And it's a lot of fun to do that. It definitely challenges certain brain muscles that I enjoy flexing. Improvising has been a big part of my compositional process. So getting to really focus on that, and we did it for several weeks, and I live streamed a lot of it. I don't think I thought I had every week that we did that. I thought I live streamed every one. But I may have jumped on with the live streams a little bit later into it. But I have several weeks of that where we did 2 sets a night. So there's a lot of music there that I'm sifting through that is eventually going to find its way onto the YouTube channel. But all of that to say that facet of my musical creative DNA was not present on the Drive album as I initially put it together. Darwin was awesome. Wish I knew about the Blues Jam back then. Yeah, man, it really was a special place. It will always be a special place in my heart. Some of my most favorite memories and cherished friends I met there. So yeah, maybe there is some divine intervention and some providence in not finishing the record when I initially set out to do it in 2016, because this allows me to take some opportunities like with this tune Dragonflies. I think what it's going to happen with it now, I don't know how it will involve other instrumentation. I haven't quite figured that out yet, but it may simply be taking these themes and improvising with them so that when I do go to perform this music, it will be a brand new expression every time I perform. And I love improvising. I think it's fascinating, and it makes every performance dynamic and a little bit dangerous, to where like anything could happen. It could all go great, it could all go terrible, but it requires myself and the musicians that I'm playing with to be very present, and inviting the audience to be very present with us in order to get this sort of energetic feedback thing happening. That is it's a very, very beautiful kind of experience when it really works in front of an audience. And plus, it makes it special if you're the kind of person who likes to go see multiple shows of a band. Bands that don't improvise, of course, you'll see differences from show to show. But if you go see a band that does improvise, whether it's a blues band or maybe a jam band, like I'm a big Trey Anastasio fan, like every time they play a song, it's different. And that is incredible when you stop to think about the possibilities of expression when you open yourself and your audience up to that kind of stuff. So 2 of 5 only has a couple of moments where, even in a band setting where there's some improvisation, the rest of it is very composed. Every solo is pretty much, when I perform it, I take some chances on some things, but I'm not really improvising on much. Like there's a song I play a lot called "Living the Good Life," where that solo I do improvise on, but the rest of that album is very worked out, very composed. So I'm hoping to straddle some things with the Drive record. And of course, I've been writing beyond all of that as well. So yeah, I'm excited. That's kind of what I've been experimenting with today, is this tune Dragonflies, and just thinking about the nature of that when dragonflies show up. Like, it really is a beautiful spiritual good luck sort of information, acknowledgement from the world, from the divine around us. I did say straddle, but hey, you can take the boy out of the stable, but you can't take the stable out of the boy. Yeah. The idea that to be able to really focus on that and hopefully be able to improvise in such an inspired way where the manifestation of dragonflies can really happen when playing it. I'm excited to start experimenting with that and just seeing what I can really get into with that. Yeah. There's just a lot of beautiful chord textures, and the initial offering that I had written, that rather than trying to, what I would do if I was going to rewrite this is I would go through this improvisational process where I would just start juggling ideas and seeing if I couldn't make some drastic transition out of some of the harmony and the themes and stuff like that. And it's kind of exciting to think about, well, just taking a chance and doing that every time, and just let my concept of it be a living, ever-evolving approach to the musical idea, the ephemeral sentiment of what I'm wanting to write about. As I said, this whole record is sort of about the mental health of all of this stuff, and the genesis of the song was about a kid who had, sadly decided to take his own life. And I resonate with those types of things, and, fighting the good fight to stay on the right side of that kind of thinking. And then, as often people do, when we're distressed, we're troubled, we might feel lost or forlorn, we look externally for signals. How many times have we prayed to God, God, just give me a sign, just show me where I'm supposed to go, what I'm supposed to do, what I'm supposed to not do. Show me the friend who's supposed to be here for me. Show me the friend I'm supposed to be to show up for people. All of those things. And I think the appearance of dragonflies, if you, as we're getting into the spring season, as you start to see things like this around you, it's worth looking up. Do a Google search on what the meaning of seeing dragonflies is. I will certainly take a poetic stab at it as I go to actually describe the record the art of what I'm trying to get at, and the spirit of the very sort of prayerful manifestation that I try to do when I play music like this. Peace Be With You is a piece like that as well, where I had initially wrote that song pardon my poor grammar. I had originally written that in college. It was going to be a choral piece. I sang in a professional choir. New birth, completion of past cycles, hope, inspirations. Yeah, so like if you're struggling and like you see something like that, to be able to see that in some way God and the universe and through the universe is trying to show you these things, to get you out of the despair that we can find ourselves held down by. But Peace Be With You, as I said, I sang in a professional choir in church while I was in college. So as I was writing stuff in college, where like composition was my degree in college, so like the intention was always to be a composer. So I was always looking for an opportunity to write a piece. So it was sort of an anthemic thing that I was writing for church, whether it would be a processional or maybe something during a sign of the peace, or just a meditation in church kind of a thing. It started out as a theme and an anthem for that. And then after leaving college, not being in a choir anymore, when I was pulling music together for 2 of 5, I was looking for a good closer for the record. And as I was going through all of my manuscript, I came across that theme again. And found that approach. And if you want to look it up on Spotify or Apple Music, or you can find it on my website, Mike2of5martin.com. I think you can stream just about everything I've released there now. It's also on my YouTube channel. If you just do a search for it on my YouTube page, you should be able to see everything on the 2 of 5 record, plus a couple other singles that I've released. So you don't even have to leave YouTube. You can see it right here. Listen to it anyway. I ended up working on that at a time when my dog died, and it was very tragic. And I've always had a difficult time because I'm very close to animals and the pets that we've had in our family. They are family, and I lost him right about the time that I was finishing that part of the 2 of 5 record. So I really poured my heart out into the solo on that, and like it's hard to listen to it because I know exactly what I was thinking about as I was trying to play just as connectedly and as emotionally as possible. And when I went to start performing that, I realized that this is an opportunity genuinely to offer a prayer over the audiences. And I'm not a contemporary Christian artist in that realm. Like, I'm not a praise and worship guy. I am a Christian, so I write from a Christian perspective in as much ways as I possibly can. But I still consider myself a secular artist. But I'm not a strictly secular person. My secularness is just a part of my humanity, if that makes any sense. So it's not like I ever wanted to step out on stage and be like, let's lift our hands and offer a prayer. Just simply a gratitude for me to manifest as I'm playing at the end of a concert, that people have spent their hard-earned money and their time when they could do any multitude of other things, and they've been so gracious to come see me perform, as a way of thanking the Almighty and thanking everybody, and wish them safe travels getting home to their families, and that hopefully, the concert has been uplifting, and leave them with just good feelings. Music and art is so powerful, just to find that there are things that you can connect with that just make you feel good and make you feel emotions, hopefully help you put them in a place where you can visit those emotions, even the difficult ones. Again, that's partly why I like heavy music, is it allows you to deal with some of the darker, more aggressive, heavy emotions in a constructive sort of way. Puts them in their right place. So yeah, every time I've ever played that, if you've ever seen me do that, that's what's going on in my mind. Is I'm really just trying to be in that place with everybody in the room right then, presently, and in a very prayerful way. So I think it's always an emotional experience for me, even when maybe I don't always play it as well as I would like to. I like everybody. I have really great nights and I have really not so great nights. And like the really great nights keep us working at it, because we know we can get there. Through all the nights where we don't get there, we know we can do better. So that's sort of the thing. And I think there's a lot of music on Drive. It's a very emotional record. And Dragonflies, given the very macabre and somber, sober nature of where the genesis of that song starts, it is one of the more positive offerings in the collections of tunes. It's not to say that the whole record is dark and doom and gloom. There's lots of stuff all over the record where, I'm constantly playing with shadows and light, because that's the only way to make sense of things that are in the dark, is when you put some light on it. And how you make sense of the light is when you come out of the dark. So that contrast and that juxtaposition is so important. It's like curating a beautiful recipe that understands the salty and the savory and the sweet, and if that makes any sense, that's kind of what I'm attempting to do musically, emotionally, is that I'm really wanting to tap into things that are textural, emotional, tactile, things that can envelop, they can embody. It's more than just moving air molecules in sound and rhythm. It's really, when music needs to sound like a warm, enveloping hug, like to do the best that I can to have that feeling, sort of the idea. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. I've been working on that and thinking about the record. All right, I also, on the live stream that I had set up to schedule that was going to happen, I put a little description in there and said, like, I was going to talk about Dragonflies, which is, I think I've done that to death at this particular point, but I was also going to talk about the new song that I'm working on and announce that drums are recorded. The name of this song this offering that's going to be released first, it's called Learning to Sleep. And I'm pretty proud of it. I really am excited about the way that it's turning out. I really like the melody on this one. I like the energy of this one. I think it really captures the nature and the one facet of the feeling that I have as a lifetime insomniac. If you can't tell by the bags under my eyes, I haven't been sleeping very well lately. Some of that's just been work related and travel related. I don't always sleep very well when I travel. And last weekend was a bit of a tricky one with some spring storms we had with tornadoes and stuff, and just all the rest of that. Anyway, Learning to Sleep. This one, it's got a bit of that despondentness of when you're so tired and it's the middle of the night and you don't want to turn on the television, or you do turn on the television hoping that like you'll just nod off while you're trying to get involved in a story or something like that. I think I've captured a little bit of that pensiveness, but that's a theme that's coming up with a lot of stuff. As a matter of fact, I'm doing this one as a single, and like I've almost been convinced that maybe there's a full EP that can be released. I was thinking I was going to do all singles, but I might do this as a couple of singles from an EP, or maybe not a full record, but maybe maybe a 6 or 7 song record. I know an EP is typically around 5 songs, and then you get into album territory beyond that. Like that's all technical mumbo jumbo to me. It's a collection of works. So I've talked with some people that maybe have me convinced that maybe releasing some singles at first on the way to actually getting a shorter album released while I'm working to finish the Drive album. And I have other planned shorter album EP kind of thing that, like, number of songs don't really matter. Do singles online to feed the algorithm for your best return, but vinyl. Yeah, vinyl is unfortunately very expensive, so I've got to be very thoughtful about the way that I do that. And probably the way that I end up doing that is by doing some kind of a pre-sale where, you know, if I only get 30 people that want to buy vinyl, I'll figure out a way to buy 30 vinyl pieces, or 50, and then do my best to sell the remaining 20. It's a big commitment. Most vinyl runs, I think they started in runs of 100, and that is a financial commitment up front. I don't know if I know 100 people who are into vinyl. That's trouble, and it's also part of the problem of having sat still for the last 10 years and not been performing my own music. I don't really know that I have that kind of solid fan base to be like, yeah, I'm going to financially commit to 100 pieces and they should sell pretty quickly. So I may have to figure out a pre-sale as a way of affording doing that along the way. I'll figure it out. There's definitely ways to approach all of this stuff. Yeah, like I've got one bit of tunes. I think I'm going to call this collection of tunes Numbers, and it involves an older tune that you probably, if you've been around me, you've probably seen me perform it. I would play it at Gem Fest. I know Kevin Geyer used to like seeing me play that. He was very gracious with some of his commentary after seeing us perform that tune. But it's a tune called The Autumnal Equinox, and it's a fusion tune that was always meant to be part of a suite. And I had other themes floating around, but that's just the one that I had finished and had started performing. And I think I have the collection of the rest of that suite. And as you can tell, the idea with the autumnal equinox, it will deal with, you know, things tied with the season and just the earth and all of that stuff. So I'm excited about these thematic things that I've got going on. I've got a few other things like that. I have another very arty piece that I'm not exactly sure how it's going to be. It may just be a single because it's going to be long and it's going to be in multiple parts and it's going to be through composed, and like I don't know that it's going to find a place on a record. I may just need to carve out time just to deal with that. But like this is what I'm doing. I'm just finding ways to deal with the rest of what's in my brain and get it to you guys. So that's sort of the thing. So lots going on and about. Learning to sleep, and I said I was going to announce. Did I say who the drummer was? But drums have been recorded. I'm very pleased with them, and that's been a long process. And I will talk about this as the song is ready to be released. But my good friend Sean O'Rourke is playing drums on this song, and I'm about to send him another song. The second song that I will be getting ready to release is another pensive song about my rumination and ideation called Waiting. I'm very excited about you guys hearing that one. I wrote that one during the pandemic, where I know we were all waiting around for a lot of things, and that was kind of compounding with other things I've been waiting for in my life. So it really hit at a good time, and it came at the time, like, I don't know if you can see it, but I had bought this double neck 612 Dan Electro back here. I had found that right before everything closed down, and I had the cash to buy it, and I was all set to go purchase the thing, and then the shutdown happened. So had to put it off for a while because I didn't have any income for a while, but I had the money put to the side, and I think it was like, I don't know, maybe 6 months into maybe 5 months into the stay-at-home thing, I reached out to him. I was like, hey, I still want to do the thing, but I understand if you need to try to sell it and ship it. And we had talked about the sentimentality of the guitar had belonged to his brother who had passed away, and we had talked a bit about health stuff, family stuff, and we'd become pretty ingratiated through our passing messages about that. And he was like, no, this is yours. This is your guitar, which is humbling, knowing that, he was selling an instrument that belonged to, his brother, who, he was dealing with his estate, and obviously he loved his brother very much. And his brother was the musician, but he wasn't a musician. So he was excited that an instrument that he knew his brother loved would get some renewed life in the hands of another musician who's very active, or at least trying to be very active. So it was one of the first things I wrote when I got this guitar, and it was also right around the time that I was writing a song with Glenn Pridgeon and Joe Tucci called why all of a sudden am I having a very senior moment and forgetting Lost in a Moment, which was a song that Glenn had written for his stepfather who had passed during COVID. So there was a good little spurt of writing and creativity, and I don't know, that song is done. I think we're waiting for the release on that. It's taken a while to get it finished because of COVID and all that stuff, and we recorded it at John Hopkins' studio. And John, if you don't know John Hopkins from the Zac Brown band, John has been dealing with a Lou Gehrig's disease diagnosis, ALS, and that's a horrible condition, and he's still working, but obviously that's something he's taking very seriously and taking all the time in the world for his family. But he's still performing and singing and recording while he can. He's a tremendous human being and an inspiration. But we were doing that at his studio, so like with all of these considerations, and Jordan, Glenn's niece, sang the song. So, and she lives in Nashville, so working out travel, getting her back to Atlanta to do stuff took some time as well. So I know it's done. I think we have a full final mix. I don't remember if it's been mastered or not, but Jordan, where it's going to be released under Jordan's artist name, so it'll be a single for her. And anyway, I'm rambling about all of that stuff as a tangent to say that got done right about the same time I had purchased this guitar. I've only taken this guitar out to perform one time with John McKnight and John Schwanke. It's one of the very few gigs that like when we started trying to do gigs again. It was one of the very few that I got to do back then. And it was a lot of fun. There's one thing to play a new instrument, especially something that's crazy like that, where there's extra switches and a whole extra guitar, and trying to keep 18 strings in tune is certainly a challenge. But it's one thing to do that in the comfort of your domicile. It's another thing to do that in front of an audience. And I don't think we played like The Song Remains the Same or Achilles' Last Stand or anything like that. Or any other 12-string double neck guitar songs that I can think of. We didn't do that. So I probably improvised a whole lot and tried to play other songs that I knew on it and figure out where I want to play the 6 or the 12. Yeah, I miss my brother. It's been a year, and it's not getting any easier missing him. Like in fact, it gets harder, is what I'm realizing. So, like every guitar I have a memory with John, and most pieces of music I have memories with John. So it's life, and it's emotional, and we're dealing with it. We're getting up every day and we're dealing with it. All right, so that's the news. Learning to sleep. I have to finish tracking some guitars on that, and then I will mix it, and my plan is to have it released in May, right about the time. Well, I probably won't make that announcement until after the thing has happened. I'm playing a private, I think it's a private charity gig in May. I can't really say much about it yet. I'm very excited about it. I can't wait to tell you guys about it. I don't think it's a public thing, so I think it's going to be the thing that I can tell you about after it's happened. But I want to have this song ready to go. I want it to be available for everybody before then, because I'm trying to lean into some things that are hopefully reinvigorating my career and my zest for performance, and like I'm going to be out performing again. The Atlanta music scene has changed dramatically, and it's always been difficult to play instrumental guitar music in Atlanta. It's just not a good market for that. But I don't care. I'm gonna go play. I got one life, and this is what I do, and I'm going to do it. And I know some of you guys will be there, and I appreciate you guys' support so much in all of those ways. So Learning to Sleep, Sean O'Rourke on drums. If you don't know Sean, Sean has played with everybody from Derek Trucks, the Aquarium Rescue Unit, Sugarland, just so many people. I've known Sean for probably 25 years and have not performed with him as many times as I would absolutely like to have. Partly because he's been on the road, I've been on the road, just doing different things. But what an incredible human being and an incredible musician. So inspiring. I've seen him play so many times. Absolutely one of my favorite people and one of my favorite drummers that I've met in Atlanta, among many. It's a real honor to call him my friend, and I'm so excited and just humbled that he was willing to take this project on, and he's excited about it. I think you'll hear that in his performance. His drums sound incredible. His drumming sounds incredible. I'm really very, very excited about it. I really can't wait to get this stuff out to you guys, and hopefully you'll be as excited about it and hear what I'm talking about. And he's going to do this next song, Waiting, as well. And I imagine we're probably just going to keep rolling on the way that we're rolling. I don't want to speak for him, but I sure would like to have him finish the record. And subsequent things, like he's not only a good friend, but he's becoming an asset that both as a friend and as a musician, as a composer and a guitar player that I can lean on, as he wants to be in the service of the song and offer his artistry and be a part of the artistry and the vision as a creator. And that's very exciting for me. I'm in a very, I'm gonna keep saying the word exciting. Like, it is exciting to feel the light coming back on, and a lot of it is through wonderful friends like you all who've been doing your best to just support me and not shame me to get up, but have just been there ready to lift me up when I've been ready. And like, God bless you guys. I love you guys. Couldn't do this without you. Really means everything to me. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I know this is a pretty small group because it was sort of a last minute thing. Does anybody have any questions about anything before I try to put all of this stuff away? I'm going to resist the temptation to try to figure out what the heck was going wrong with my computer. I think that's going to be some technical work for another day. I think most of my brain muscles need to be reserved for music and not so fixated on trying to fix computer problems. Thanks, brother. Good to see you, man. Love you too. Yeah, that's all the stuff. Call for computer help when you're ready to solve that. Well, this is all YouTube stuff, so this is kind of like video setup things. So I know my laptop is old and the operating system is old, so it just may not be an up-to-date enough version of OBS plus Chrome or whatever I'm needing to use to do live streaming with YouTube. So some of that I got to work out. Also things like I have an older phone, So I don't necessarily think I've updated everything as current as everything is with a modern phone. So, and I'm doing this from my phone now because it was the only thing that I could actually get to hop on with stuff. And John, I know you just said a thing and I kind of went past. Let me see that. Get some tricks to help optimize what you got. Yeah, man, that would be fantabulous. I definitely can use all the help I can get with some of that stuff. Yeah, because everybody else has got their YouTube and their streaming game together in all the last few years. Like I kind of stopped doing so many things when I was doing demonstration videos for Orange and stuff. Like it was kind of the time when everybody was just figuring it out with a webcam or a smartphone. So like my audio quality was pretty good because I had a Pro Tools studio in my house, but video quality was suffering, and like I'm still kind of dealing with the video end of things, but everybody's really figured out like cameras and lighting, and like I've got crazy lights all over the place, but it'll probably help if I brushed my hair or something before I try to hop online. I look like, I don't know what I look like the Mad Professor or something. Not quite the crazy wizard with all the beardly stuff, but definitely crazy mop of whatever is going on top of my head. All right, well, thank you guys. Happy Thursday. Thanks for spending some time with me and let me ramble about some things that I'm excited about and that I'm working on. And yeah, follow me here, share my YouTube page. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. I'm trying to get my numbers up. My YouTube channel, I got it monetized years ago when I was doing demonstration videos, and since not doing enough content, of course, we find out that monetization falls off. So I'm really trying to get my views up and get my subscriber base up. So if you know anybody that's interested in this kind of foolishness, please recommend it and share it on your social media. Oh yeah, I think the audio quality is definitely the most important thing, 100%. Like I'm not, especially if I'm not gonna get dressed or do hair and makeup for these things, the video quality really doesn't matter. I could probably just do these things in black and white, and just not worry about it. I even think there's some funny apps where you can do some effects that make you look like you're a cartoon and stuff like that. Maybe I should do that. That'd be more interesting to look at than all this. Anyway, I lost what I was thinking about. Oh, monetizing my channel. So yeah, if you want to look around my channel, maybe stream some things, get my views up. Maybe even when you go to bed, you could just play them and let them repeat or something like that. So the views are ticking away while you're getting some restful slumber. And help me get this channel back up to monetization. Looking for ways to sort of reinvigorate my income streams so that I can reinvest that money into these recordings and getting a live band together and hopefully getting it on the road. I need to get to Europe. I haven't been to Europe with my band doing my stuff. I know that's got to happen. Love to get to Australia. I haven't been to Australia since 2005. And I would love to get there with my new music. I know Australia is like such a wonderful guitar country. Like everybody is a frightening guitar player in Australia. It's like I don't know if it's in the water, if it's in just the danger in every insect and animal and plant that exists on the continent of Australia. Maybe that's enough incentive to like, I'm gonna practice. I don't know if that's part of the thing, but man, frightening guitar players come out of Australia. So I know people are into it. Also want to get to Japan desperately. So if I can get to Australia, it's only another flight away. I've never been to Japan. Japan is a big guitar market. I really want to get there and bring my music to Japan as well. So like I've got a lot of ambition, and this is really the only thing I have going on. So I'm about to throw 100% of what I got left at all of this stuff. So thank you guys again for being along for the ride. Oh yeah, I've heard so many stories about how amazing music in Japan is. Like I really can't wait. I can't believe, like, we had a couple of offers while I was still in Fozzy to go to Japan, because Chris Jericho is very popular in Japan. Um, but for whatever reason, I just don't think we could make the numbers work out. Probably due to Chris's schedule. I don't think we could stay in Japan long enough to offset the costs of flights and work permits to get over there. It's a very expensive flight from the United States to get there. So as you can imagine, equipment, personnel, merch, all of that stuff. As badly as we all wanted to go, I remember 2 times where we were talking about, like, this is coming up, like we feel like it's going to happen, and then just it just didn't make good business sense to do it at the time. And I'm not sure if they've made it to Japan since I'm no longer with the group. I'd be surprised if they haven't gone. Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, as I said, I will leave it there, guys. Thank you so much. I'm going to keep trying to do these live streams once a week until I figure out my regular content, that, like, I want to actually shoot a proper video once a week as well, whether it's like podcast format or some shorter stuff. One of the things I was thinking about doing, just gear oriented stuff, like I've got this record called Drive. Maybe I'll just go through like a drive pedal a day. I've got several drive pedals. I've got a bunch of different tube screamers. Maybe I'll try doing a shootout and see if we can actually tell the difference between them. I feel like I can, but I'm also a crazy person. So I don't know that everybody can tell the difference. It may just be in my brain. Maybe it's something that I can notice as I'm playing it, but when you actually hear it, you're like, no, Mike, that actually sounds exactly like the one that you just played. But maybe it just feels different under the fingers when you're doing the thing. Anyway, yeah. Thank you guys. This was a good hang. I really appreciate it. Delaney guitars, DiMarzio pickups. I don't have a string company at the moment, so yeah, Splon amplification. I'm in with them. I think that's all the gear hawking I should do for the moment. And you've been hearing me play through a Line 6 with a Keeley Halo and the Brown amplification Protein Overdrive, and yeah, that's what you've been hearing. So that's my gear shilling. So I'll stop there. All right. Oh man, you got a Pro Mod. Yeah, this Quick Rod Fully Loaded is a beast. I got really familiar with them when Rich got one years ago, and then while we were on tour, we were doing a. Oh yeah, I've got to do some amp demos. Like, I've been meaning to do one of this Splon, and it's so good. I know Kyle Bull has done a bunch of them, and then Scott Splon plays his stuff on his social media all the time, and he's an incredible guitar player too. Yeah, Rich has one that's incredible. I think I don't remember the whole genesis of it. If you talk to Rich Ward and you're inclined to ask him about the first Splon that he had made. It's a white Tolex one. It's a really incredible amp. Beautiful to play on. Sounds beautiful, like just so musical. But we were doing a U.S. tour with Stuck Mojo. I want to say 2007, maybe 2008. I forget, 07 or 08. And we had gone out on the road, and I was playing what was I doing? I think I was playing a PV 6505. We were all PV endorsers. I had a PV endorsement from before joining Fozzy, and then when I joined Fozzy, they were also PV artists. So we played a lot of PV gear. I still have my JSX from my endorsement days and my cabinets. I've got some PV guitars, like really great stuff. I was playing a 6505, and I think along the way, we made a deal and did a swap with someone for another Quick Rod that they really wanted a 6505. So I ended up playing that quick rod for a good bit of that tour, and holy cow, like I love the 6505. That's a really incredible amp. I toured Europe with that in 2008. Um, that's another story. But when we opened for Volbeat, we did that, and I get to play through Joe Satriani's touring cabinets. He was still with Peavey at the time, and my rep at the time, James Dunkley, loved me and knew I was a huge Satriani fan. And since Joe was not on tour in Europe, his backline cabinets were available. So I got to play a whole tour through Joe's cab and speakers. And let me tell you, like if you'd have told, 11, 12-year-old Mike that one day he would get to do that, he wouldn't have believed it. Wouldn't have believed it at all. So that was a tour for the books. One of my favorite tours that I ever got to do. But anyway, yeah, got to play that Spawn on that whole tour. Good Lord, man, what a muscular musical amplifier. And I've had this one now for 2 years. Yeah, I find the 6505 is really great. It's not as punchy to me as the Splon. The Splon, again, it's got a real muscular thing. They're both aggressive amps. I definitely can't say that the 6505 isn't aggressive, but it compresses differently, and it's beautiful. For what it does, it feels great to play. It's inspiring to play. It sounds great. Records fantastically. I mean, it's a very famous amplifier. It is worthy. If you've not played one in your guitar player, like it definitely is worthy. But there is something. Scott Spawn is doing something. He's not going after the 5150 6505 thing. He's going after the Jose modded JCM 800 plexi kind of thing. Big output transformer, lot of thump in the percussiveness of the bottom end and the low mids. Like it's just man, it will reveal some things that are deficits in your playing, but man, when you figure that out, it's some grown-ups work for sure, and inspiring to play. Like you feel pretty invincible with a wall of cabinets and a Spawn barking behind you. I really love it. And for instrumental stuff too, like when I knew it earlier doing the stuff with Stuck Mojo, I played some solos, but really rhythm guitar. Rhythm, and it's perfect for that. But it's really beautiful for playing lead guitar well, especially for the instrumental kind of thing. Like it has a really big, beautiful voice that you're going to hear all over these new recordings, because it'll be my main recording amp is the Swan, and then I'll supplement with a few other things I've got. Like I've got a Roland Jazz chorus that's really fun that I like to play a lot. My JSX will still probably have a place in some areas because it's got a beautiful singing voice too. I also have a Marshall JCM 900 it's a really good one. I've played a lot of 900s they're okay, but this is a good one. It's definitely got some things that I might want to tap into. Plus, I've got a lot of other plugins and modeling stuff that if I need any other types of voices. My Orange, good Lord, that Orange is a recording beast. Like that's a secret weapon, and it's a gigging weapon. Like when I toured opening for Yngwie Malmsteen, I took that little 15-watt Orange and a 412 cabinet and an 8-string and lit venues up. I did my best anyways. Really hard to go on before Yngwie Malmsteen, and Gary Hoey was on that tour too, and Bumblefoot. I know East just said something. Where was it? Oh man, the whole thing is scrolling. Oh yeah, I would imagine it pairs great with an Uberschall. Yeah, I've actually thought about maybe doing a blended amp thing. Because like the JSX has been my amp for, I mean, since I got endorsed with Peavey, and like when that came out, I was like, man, I gotta have one of these. And toured all over Europe with it and recorded all of 205 with it. Like probably most of everything you've heard me do has been on that amplifier. So it might be a thing to do a blend. Like the JSX worked well when I did US dates with Fozzy, because I was doing a lot of lead guitar in Fozzy. But when we were doing Stuck Mojo stuff, it is great for rhythm guitar, but it's not as muscular. It's really more of a singing amplifier. It was a great tone, but you know, when you're playing a Stuck Mojo gig, standing next to Rich Ward, playing through his rig, you know, by itself you'd be like, oh yeah, JSX sounds great. Standing next to Rich Ward while he's doing his thing through his rig, you realize this amp isn't perfectly suited for that. So I may try doing a blended amp thing too when I get out doing live stuff. It's tough to see, like, there's a lot of American venues that like quieter stages now. And a lot of gigs I do, I end up using a modeler with no amp on stage at all. And it sounds good, and it feels pretty good to play on. It's not my preferred thing, excuse me, but it works. So I may do a lot of that stuff too. But I also think if I'm going to do the instrumental guitar thing, if people are going to come to a guitar show, they want to hear real guitars and real tube amps and real speakers. It doesn't have to be the loudest thing in the world. There are ways of mitigating the volume issues with 100-watt tube amplifiers. But I do feel like that's part of the art of doing the thing, and I'm always the most inspired when I do get to do that. So yeah, maybe the pedal board rig stays in the realm of corporate band, you know, fly date kind of things, and then when I do my thing, it's church, and we come to church, and when we're at church, we worship. That's the idea. Yeah, and Kempers are great too. I know Rich has been using a Kemper a lot too. Like for a while, I know he was doing a blended thing. I don't even know if he's doing a blended thing for some shows. I think last time I talked to him, he said he was really doing a lot of Kemper things, and like it's a solution. Like the technology sounds so good, and you can do a capture of your own amplifiers or a model or whatever the terminology is for the piece of kit that you're using. But it's legit, man. All of it works. I just got one of my students gifted me the Satriani Tone X1 that comes with all of Joe's presets, and it comes with the library of all of his amps that are captured. It sounds incredible. It's a tiny little pedal that I could put in my gig bag. I could do a whole gig with that pedal, one pedal. The technology has really gone pretty far. It's remarkable, and it feels good to play. It sounds good. You know, it's inspiring to play on. I really can't say anything bad about that stuff. So like, it's not even a downgrade to say, oh yeah, somebody's using a Kemper or somebody's using a Hill. Like I use an HX Stomp when I go out and play gigs. I'm using that. I've done some gigs where I'm using like the Tech 21 Richie Kotzen fly rig. That thing sounds incredible. I also have a radial direct drive that you can just use your regular overdrive pedals, and it's like a clean amp model analog thing that is a DI that you can plug into anything. And like I just use like a Sir Riot distortion pedal and a Duke of Tone MXR pedal. And it sounds as real as anything else, and it's very inspiring to play. It's remarkable, the technology that we have now. So I wouldn't feel bad about it, you know, even if I did just go out with a pedal board and figure out how to do that. The cool thing about doing the modeling thing too is it's consistent every night. No tube is going to fail, right? Like everything sounds exactly as it should, especially if you're doing in-ear monitors. Like you don't have to worry about microphones ending up in a different place or something like that. It's really a spectacular advantage doing that stuff. So, yeah. All right. I keep saying I'm going to hop off. Thank you guys again for hanging out, and I will see you next time. FR to get the stage sound. Yeah, you know, actually, I looked into getting them. You know what I ended up doing, because there are gigs where I still need a small combo amp. I ended up buying a Roland JC40. It's one of the newer jazz chorus offerings that they're making. They've reissued the 120, so they get the big beast. But the JC40, it's lighter. It's got two 10-inch speakers in it. It's a true stereo power amp, and it has the real analog CE chorus circuit in it. It sounds fantastic. Jazz courses take pedals incredibly well. They always have. They're a really great, clean pedal platform amplifier. So if you're doing that, or if you're in a situation where like you're going to have to get your drive sounds from pedals because it's an amp that doesn't have a great gain sound, and a Jazz course, they actually updated the drive circuit on the Jazz course. It sounds pretty good now, so you could do some workable business with it. But like nobody ever really used the Jazz chorus for the distortion on it. It's not that musical. But the JC40, I decided to get that because you can go straight into the effects return stereo with any modeler, and then I just use the volume knob on my modeler for my stage volume. And if I didn't do it that way, if I wired it in a different way, you can just go right into the front of it stereo, and then you've got your volume control and a little bit of extra EQ going on there. Like, is it as pristine as using an FR? No, I don't think it is, because especially with an HX Stomp, I don't have the routing to not send the cabinet IRs to the amp. So that's kind of the wrong way to do it. So I'm getting cabinet emulation going through speakers in a combo. So like there can be some weird stuff with that. I kind of accounted for that. Like I set up the tones in my studio and then with my in-ear monitors and then through the effects return of the JC, and kind of split the difference, you know, to make it for all things. But I don't need the JC40 for stage volume. I'm not trying to project out over the drums. It's really just for me. It allows me to keep my in-ear monitors a little bit quieter. I can have the other instruments coming into my in-ear, and I can still hear my guitar immediately around me. And if you're holding a note, and trying to get a little bit of that, you know, sustain. Although I did just put this on my pedal board too. This is fun. That's that Digitech Freakout pedal. I'm trying to do the faux Sustainiac thing for a couple other tunes that I'm writing. I've got a tune that I'm writing called Live Free or Die. That's one of the tunes that are coming out, and it's going to be the melody is going to be with a lot of that kind of thing. And like, it's really inconvenient to try to do it with an EBow. And I don't have a guitar with a sustainer pickup in it. And I don't think I want to, I know people that have them. I could borrow them for the record, but then I'm going to be in some trouble when I go to play this stuff live, and I don't want to hamstring myself. So this Freakout pedal, I'm trying to dial it in to where it's doing the thing the way that I want it to. So some settings I found on it are a little artifacty, and I'm not enjoying that quite so much. So I'm really trying to get a handle on that to get it to sound really organic. But I'm also hoping if I leave it on my pedal board for any of these in-ear gigs, that, you know, for the hero moments where you just want to do the, you know, the big squealy feedback kind of thing, when you don't have cabinets howling and flapping your pant legs to help give you that lift, this could be a solution on that. It's a very fun pedal to play. Like, I've had it for a while. It was a gift from a student of mine. He thought I would really enjoy it, and I am. I've been messing with it at home, but I really need to get it out on a gig to really figure out what to do with it. And I think I'm close. I'm going to take it out with me this weekend, and much to my music director's chagrin, I'm probably going to find some trouble I can get in with it. So yeah, I don't know why I went off on that tangent as well. I will see you guys very soon. Again, Tuesday's the day I'm trying to do the live stream thing. I'm trying to do it around 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But Thursday is definitely in play as well, especially if I've got reoccurring rehearsals on Tuesday. I think it might be better to just pick the day that it can work and do that. And we'll figure it out. We'll see how all this, like, it's ongoing and developing. I want to be accountable, and I want to show up, and I want to be consistent. So at least once a week, even if it's on a random day and at a random time, that I just hop on and do this. I just want to hold myself to doing that and just being active. All right, and with that, I will let you guys have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you all very soon with more updates, because there's a whole lot of stuff going on. All right, be well. Thanks, guys.